Hello guys, we're going to present one of the United Nations Development Goals, which is a collection of 17 interconnected global goals designed to be a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet, now and in the future. Ending poverty in all its forms, everywhere is the first sustainable objective, which is one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations in 2015 that focuses on eradicating poverty through interconnected tactics such as fostering social protection networks, educating employment opportunities, and fortitude of the underprivileged. The two goals associated with these SDG are mobilizing resources to eradicate poverty and establishing frameworks for policies and eradicate poverty at all levels.
Infectious disease is one of the main consequences of poverty that claim the lives of an estimated 14 million people each year, resulting in millions of people suffering from poverty-related health issues worldwide. Increased instances of heart disease, cancer, infant mortality, mental illness, undernutrition, lead poisoning and asthma are all linked to poverty. Further poverty reduces the average lifespan globally. We have also neglected to acknowledge that poverty imposes significant psychological, social and economic consequences on those who are not poor as well. According to McLaughlin and the Ranks estimation, the cost of youth poverty in the United States is close to $1 trillion each year, and by eliminating poverty, will consider lessen these issues, their effects, and especially the financial costs of global and national poverty, particularly expenditures associated with international crimes and illicit activities.
About 1 in 5 persons in developing regions lives on less than $1.25 per day. In 2013, an estimated 767 million people lived under the poverty line, down from 1.7 billion people in 1999. Despite a decline in the poverty rate in sub-Saharan Africa, 42% of the population continued to subsist in conditions of extreme poverty in 2013. In fact, sub-Saharan Africa was home to about half of the world's poor. Combined with Southern Asia, the two regions accounted for over 80% of the world's poorest people that year. In September 2015, head of the state will convene at the General Assembly of the United Nations to agree upon a set of Sustainable Development Goals. The first target of the first SDG proposed by the Open Working Group of Member States is to eradicate extreme poverty for all people everywhere by 2030. The second target is to reduce at least by half the proportion of people living in poverty according to national definitions. Their main objectives are: eliminate severe poverty, which is currently defined as persons making less than $1.25 a day, for all people everywhere. Ensure that all men and women, especially the poor and the vulnerable, have equal rights to economic resources, including access to basic services, ownership and control over land and other forms of property, natural resources, appropriate new technology and financial services. Increase the resilience of the underprivileged and those who are already at risk, as well as their exposure and susceptibility to various economic, social, and environmental shocks and calamities. Ensure major resources mobilization from a number of sources, including improved development cooperation. Build effective policy frameworks based on pro-poor and gender-sensitive development initiatives at the national, regional and international levels.
In order to assist the poorest and most vulnerable, the UN has released a framework for the immediate socio-economic response to COVID-19, which calls for an extraordinary escalation of political will and international aid in order to guarantee that everyone has access to social protection and basic services. The UN COVID-19 Response and Recovery Fund is designed to help vulnerable populations who are disproportionately affected by the socio-economic effects of the epidemic in low and middle-income countries. Amina Mohammed, the UN's Deputy Secretary General, called on women leaders to support the UN's plan for social and economic recovery and to fully fund the UN Response and Recovery Fund.
The digital world can provide the access to technology and innovation, including internet access and affordable energy, with the universal access to basic social services and progressive development of the social protection system to support those who can't support themselves. and empowering people to live in poverty and their organisations. Businesses should ensure that they meet their responsibilities to respect human rights, including the rights of the people in these groups. Businesses also have proactively take measures to address constraints faced by these groups, such as through inclusive business models, innovation products or services that better meets the needs of these groups, and by leveraging these unique perspectives of the groups as consumers, employees, suppliers, distributors in the value chain, and community members. Businesses' roles in poverty also should address framework conditions of poverty, for example, by engaging in policies dialogue from the provision of business, goods and services where they operate.